Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds really thought they were stepping into this whole legal mess as the power couple who could outmaneuver everybody. But the deeper the story gets, the more it feels like they walked straight into a disaster they didn't fully understand. And now people are seriously asking whether Blake and Ryan are furious enough to turn around and blame their own lawyers for the entire thing collapsing in public. Because let's be honest, girls, this whole situation is getting messier by the day. So Andy Signore over on Popcorn Planet brought up this wild theory after listening to Mark Geragos on Megyn Kelly's show. And honestly, the more you hear about it, the more you start thinking, wait a minute, this actually makes sense. Mark Geragos basically sat there and said Blake Lively's case got completely gutted by Judge Lyman, and not in some tiny little technical way either. We're talking major parts of the lawsuit being thrown out. 10 out of 13 claims were reportedly wiped away. And apparently the judge wasn't subtle about it at all. According to Mark, the judge's criticism of Blake's legal team was brutal. And this is where everybody started side-eyeing the lawyers, because apparently some of the legal strategies they used made absolutely no sense. Blake's team allegedly filed under California law, even though the case connections pointed more toward New Jersey. Then they reportedly tried using federal protections designed for employees, even though Blake wasn't technically an employee in the way the law required. And people online are now sitting there like, how does a high-powered, expensive legal team make mistakes like that? That's the part that has everybody talking, because these aren't random rookie attorneys working out of somebody's garage office. These are elite Hollywood lawyers charging massive amounts of money. So when major claims start getting tossed out over legal theory problems, people naturally start wondering whether the lawyers overcomplicated everything and pushed Blake into a case that was never as strong as it looked publicly. Andy was basically saying Blake and Ryan may have spent millions thinking they were building some unstoppable legal attack, only to suddenly realize the foundation underneath it was shaky from the beginning. And honestly, you can almost picture the panic behind the scenes, because remember, Blake's PR team spent months acting like they were completely in control. Every headline was supposed to make Justin Baldoni look cornered. Every media appearance felt carefully crafted. There was this constant energy of, we're winning, we're standing strong, justice is coming. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni mostly stayed quiet. That silence is starting to matter now, because the louder Blake's side talked, the more people started expecting some massive victory. But then the actual court decisions started rolling in, and suddenly the energy shifted completely. Now people are asking if Blake and Ryan were being sold confidence by their own attorneys, while the reality behind closed doors looked much uglier. And this is where Mark Geragos dropped the really juicy theory. He claimed the sudden push for private mediation may not have just been about settling the case quietly. According to him, there's apparently a California legal precedent where once disputes get privately mediated, it becomes much harder for clients to later sue their attorneys for malpractice. Girls, when I tell you people online LOS their minds over this theory, because suddenly everyone started looking at the timeline differently. Blake's case gets damaged publicly. The judge criticizes the legal handling. Then suddenly there's pressure to mediate privately and wrap things up before things spiral further. Now, is any of this confirmed? No, but the gossip world is eating it up because it sounds exactly like the kind of behind the scenes Hollywood legal chess game people imagine happens with celebrity lawsuits. And honestly, Andy Signore sounded convinced something went very wrong internally. He basically said this whole thing reeks of lawyers billing endless hours while letting the case grow bigger and messier instead of protecting their clients from disaster. He even questioned whether Blake and Ryan were properly warned about how risky some of these legal moves were before everything exploded publicly. Because imagine being Blake Lively right now. Your reputation is getting dragged online every day. Your name is attached to one of Hollywood's ugliest public legal wars. People are debating whether your career took permanent damage. And then on top of all that, you might be sitting there wondering whether your own legal team failed you. That's brutal. And Andy didn't exactly hide his feelings either. He straight up said he wouldn't feel much sympathy if Blake and Ryan turned on their lawyers because, in his opinion, they helped create this entire situation in the first place. Still, even he admitted the legal strategy looks questionable now that people are seeing how badly certain claims collapsed. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni is suddenly sitting in a completely different position publicly because while Blake's side looks defensive and chaotic, Justin is starting to look like the calm survivor who stayed mostly quiet while everybody else fought in the media. And now there's another rumor making Hollywood gossip circles explode. Apparently, insiders think Justin Baldoni could make an absolute fortune telling his side of the story. We're talking potential book deals, documentary deals, massive interview offers, maybe even a streaming series. And honestly, the money being discussed is insane. Justin Baldoni is suddenly becoming the guy everybody wants to hear from. And honestly, that might be the part driving Blake Lively's camp the craziest right now. Because for months, Justin was painted like the villain in this whole situation. But now that parts of Blake's case reportedly collapsed, the public conversation is shifting hard. And people are starting to look at Justin differently. And girls, Hollywood can smell a comeback story from a mile away. Andy Signore started talking about how Justin could allegedly land some massive tell-all deal. And once he brought up the numbers, people started freaking out. Apparently, there are whispers that Justin could pull in something around $10 million if he decides to write a book or do a full documentary series about everything that happened behind the scenes. Now listen, 10 million sounds crazy at first until you remember how obsessed people became with this entire drama. This lawsuit turned into celebrity internet warfare. Every filing became headline news. Every rumor exploded across TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Everybody picked sides. It stopped being just a legal fight and became full-on entertainment culture gossip. So if Justin suddenly sat down and finally told his version of events, people would absolutely watch. And the thing that keeps coming up over and over is this. Blake Lively spoke publicly multiple times during this whole mess. There were statements, PR articles, media narratives, Instagram messaging, leaks, sources close to Blake, all of it. But Justin, he mostly stayed quiet. That silence is becoming part of his image now because people are interpreting it as restraint. Whether that's fair or not, that's what's happening online. A lot of viewers now see Justin as the guy who stayed calm while chaos exploded around him. And honestly, Andy sounded almost impressed by that strategy. He pointed out that Justin never really went out there personally attacking Blake publicly. Sure, his lawyer Brian Friedman spoke aggressively at times, but Justin himself stayed relatively low-key. So now if he finally speaks, people feel like they're hearing something exclusive that's powerful in celebrity culture. The less someone talks during a scandal, the more valuable their first big interview becomes. And apparently streaming companies know that too. Andy started talking about how a Justin Baldoni interview would probably turn into a bidding war instantly. Podcasts would want him. Streamers would want exclusive rights. Everybody would fight for the first real sit down. Because let's be real here, people are nosy. Everybody wants the behind the scenes details now. What really happened during filming? What were the arguments actually about? How bad did things get privately? Did Ryan Reynolds get involved more than people realize? Were there PR games happening behind the scenes? Did Hollywood insiders secretly pick sides? That's the stuff viewers want now. And if Justin ever opens that door publicly, it becomes a gold mine. Andy even brought up Prince Harry's book deal at one point and compared the potential interest level. Now, obviously, Justin Baldoni is not getting Prince Harry money, but the fact people are even making those comparisons shows how huge this story became online. And honestly, some people think Justin's silence was strategic from the beginning. Because while Blake's side kept pushing media narratives publicly, Justin's team may have realized that staying quiet would make him look more believable later. Whether intentional or not, that's kind of what happened. Now people are waiting for Justin's version like it's some final episode of a Netflix drama. Meanwhile, Blake and Ryan are reportedly trying to move on from the disaster publicly, but the internet is not letting them breathe at all. Every appearance they make gets analyzed. Every PR article gets ripped apart. Every source close to the couple quote gets mocked online. Andy even joked that Blake's team seems desperate to frame the settlement like some kind of victory when almost nobody following the case seriously believes that anymore. And honestly, that's probably the biggest issue Blake faces now: perception. Because Hollywood scandals are weird, sometimes it's not even about what legally happened, it's about who the public thinks looked better during the chaos. And right now, Justin's image seems to be recovering while Blake's reputation keeps taking hit after hit online. Even some entertainment reporters are starting to shift their tone. At the beginning, many outlets seemed very supportive of Blake's claims, but now that legal setbacks started piling up, suddenly the coverage feels way more cautious. People are asking tougher questions now. The confidence surrounding Blake's side doesn't feel nearly as strong as it did months ago, and girls, Hollywood notices that stuff immediately. Studios pay attention to public opinion. Executives pay attention to audience reactions. PR firms definitely pay attention, because at the end of the day, celebrity reputation is business. Andy even admitted that Blake and Ryan will probably still be successful eventually because they're famous enough to survive controversy. He basically said audiences have short memories if celebrities continue making profitable projects. And honestly, he's probably right. Ryan Reynolds especially has built such a strong commercial brand that it would take something enormous to fully destroy his career. Blake too still has industry connections, fans, fashion influence, and celebrity power. But this whole situation definitely damaged the perfect Hollywood power couple image they spent years building. That polished, untouchable vibe is gone now. Now people see controversy attached to them. They see lawsuits, PR battles, media manipulation accusations, aggressive legal strategies, reputation warfare, and once the public starts seeing celebrities through that lens, it's hard to fully erase it. Meanwhile, Andy casually dropped another little bombshell during all this gossip. Apparently, Popcorn Planet itself is working on a documentary series about the entire scandal, and honestly, Andy sounded almost annoyed that major streamers supposedly aren't jumping at it fast enough yet. But he also hinted at something interesting. He suggested that if Justin Baldoni himself ever got involved with a documentary project, suddenly the value would skyrocket overnight. Because let's be honest, girls, if Justin Baldoni ever decides to fully break his silence, that instantly changes everything. Right now, the public only has pieces of the story floating around everywhere. One side leaks something, another side responds. Lawyers talk, PR teams spin headlines, internet creators dissect every little court filing like it's the Zapruder film. But Justin himself, he's mostly remained this quiet figure sitting in the middle of the storm while everybody else screams around him. And that silence has created mystery. People are now imagining this huge dramatic interview where Justin finally sits down somewhere classy, probably wearing some soft neutral sweater, looking emotionally exhausted, and calmly explains his truth while the internet melts down in real time. You already know clips from that interview would dominate TikTok for weeks. And honestly, Andy Signor seems convinced Justin absolutely wants that moment eventually. He kept saying Justin probably feels a massive need to finally speak after staying quiet through all the accusations, headlines, and public attacks. Because imagine how frustrating that would be. Your name gets dragged across entertainment media nonstop. Millions of people debate your character online. Huge celebrities allegedly throw their weight around publicly. And the entire time, you're mostly staying silent while watching your reputation get picked apart daily. At some point, almost anybody would want to defend themselves personally. And if Justin does it carefully, he could completely reshape public opinion even more than he already has. That's what makes Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' situation feel so dangerous right now. Because the internet mood already shifted once, and if Justin suddenly delivers some calm, emotional, highly detailed version of events, that shift could get even worse for Blake and Ryan, especially because people are already questioning whether Blake's camp overplayed everything from the beginning. Andy kept coming back to this idea that Blake's legal team may have created a gigantic, overcomplicated war that ended up backfiring publicly. Instead of a clean, decisive victory, the case turned into months of ugly headlines, legal criticism, PR disasters, and endless internet speculation. And now Instead of Justin looking destroyed, people are literally talking about him landing $1 million opportunities from the scandal. That is not how Blake's side imagined this ending.